Good morning and welcome back. Boy, I'll tell you, we've had a great conversation here with Dr. Riedel from LBW. Doctor, such a great, we're talking off the air, infrastructure that we have in education right here.
Oh, absolutely.
We've got everything you need right here in Andalusia, Alabama.
Yes,
and it's such, when people look at this place to move to or bring industry to, it's an asset.
Oh, it is. The college being here is definitely an asset and has, helped recruit industry and business.
Well, forward thinking. This is what every time I see you, you and Mayor Earl Johnson are kind of on the same, and that some people may not like, but I like it because he's a very aggressive, forward-thinking mayor.
Yes.
And you're a very aggressive, forward-thinking leader of the community
But
college.
let me tell you something. This is a progressive community because you could not have somebody who wanted to implement some new ideas, do innovations, if there was not support from the community. And this has been a really terrifically supportive community. At LBW, for example, we have 2 community-based foundations which exist solely to support the missions and purposes of LBW Community College over the years.
Right.
And they're the LBWCC Foundation and the MacArthur Foundation. Combined, they have assets of almost $3.5 million, which are invested and held in trust and provide scholarships for students. Last year, we awarded $97,000 in scholarships to students from those 2 foundations.
Wow, that's absolutely, and we were talking about scholarships earlier and,
Yes.
How some organizations, and you all yourself provide that as well.
We do.
What a great asset. We were talking about, off the camera, about the new thing coming out there. How's it coming with the dormitories?
Okay.
Here's, and I got to say this. Andalusia lacks living space, okay, affordable living space. And there's no apartment buildings around that, large apartment buildings. There's no, and so when people want to come to go to school, they either have to live here, okay, or commute back and forth. And there's a lot of kids that do commute, young people commuting back and forth. Tell us how this dormitory situation's coming.
Okay, well, it's coming along well. We're in the final stages of approval of the financing. The financing will be through the U.S. Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Community Facilities Plan, and what that is a loan, so it's all going to get paid back to the federal government, and it's at competitive interest rates, 3.1 something % over 30 years. But the neat thing, I mentioned the foundations, the LBWCC Foundation is actually going to be the owner of that housing.
Wow.
And personally, I prefer to call it student housing or student apartments because sometimes people have an idea with dorms that there's multiple students per room very, very basic. Well, these are going to be very basic, but they're going to be set up where each student will have his or her own room. There are really 4-bedroom apartments, and there will be 24 apartments. So times 4, that's 96 students. I could see you doing math. As a former math professor, I could tell. 96 students.
This one over here.
96 students. And the way it's going to be built, there are going to be 2 apartment buildings. The way they're set up, there's a central stairway, and then 2 apartments on the right, 2 on the left, 3 levels.
Wow.
So 12 apartments, each one again with 4 students, 4 bedrooms. Each apartment with its own fully equipped kitchen, dinette area, living room, utilities, cable, and internet are going to be provided.
So they can watch us.
They can.
Channel 50?
And the kitchens will actually have a washer and dryer, which is very helpful for students.
Yes.
And again, utilities are included. There's going to be a limit if they, leave the air down at 60 degrees all summer long. That's
and hook up a 30,000 watt stereo.
But it's going to be pretty nice, and actually adjacent to the college campus, just the other side of the walking trail where the tennis courts are, so they can walk to school. Anything a student would need for groceries or shopping. The Walmart, again, is a 10-minute walk. If you're walking, I'm saying walking means not all of our students have cars.
Right.
But of course there will be parking. This is going to allow the college to grow, to attract international students, to attract students from other parts of the state, for instance, for our forestry program. And not just programs in Andalusia, because I've actually had a conversation with Eddie Spann, who heads up our diesel and heavy equipment program in OP. Mm-hmm. And he had inquiries from Daphne, Alabama, from 2 students who were wanting to come into his program, and they need a place to stay. Well, obviously Andalusia is only 20 minutes away, so that would be very convenient. And the cost is going to be a very reasonable $1,800 for a semester, which works out to about $400 a month. And
is that per student?
That is per student. But again, unlike renting an apartment in town, it's only for the time you're in school. So you don't have to do a 1-year contract. It's only per semester, fall semester, spring semester. And then if you are going to school in the summer, that's an option but not a requirement.
Wow, and they get some of that kickback off the Pell Grant, so that can help
absolutely.
them out.
Sure.
Sure. So there you go. Mm-hmm. It's just fascinating to me to see that happen, because people say, "Oh, okay, well, students will be able to stay and go to school, and that's great." No, 96 people will come into this community and spend money at Walmart, at the local businesses, the restaurants, okay, and buy gas and do all that stuff here, and instead of having to commute back and forth from home.
True.
Okay, and then we get the opportunity to have people internationally come here, and the culture exchange is phenomenal. I remember I went to the University of New Mexico, and it was the first time I had an opportunity to see such a diverse, culture, intake of different people from all over the world. It's the first time I met Europeans, as far as young Europeans. I always met the British guy, and everybody knew, what was his name, the guy that used to do the TV show all the time? Gosh, he's the old-time guy. I'll remember it here, but, Monty Python.
Oh.
Okay, everybody, my age, I won't say anything about you, knows Monty Python. And, it just was a great experience to have that, and people know. And here in this community, it's a good thing, because there's a lot of folks that think Montgomery and Mobile are out of town. Mm-hmm. All right. When you go to Atlanta, when you go to these other cities, you see the culture and the different changes. So we're going to have that opportunity.
Well, there are just so many benefits from this. Our coaches are really excited.
Oh, I bet, because now look where they can draw from.
Well, and we currently have a lot of students from other parts of Alabama, even from out of state. And so every year our coaches look for housing in town. Now they'll have a place that is safe, that's near the college. They'll be together, so it'll be more of a sense of community. And it's going to free up housing elsewhere in the city as well. But they're very excited. Our foundation board is very forward-looking, and for them it was a new idea, because the assets I mentioned earlier had traditionally been invested in stocks and bonds and traditional financial investments. Well, they can also invest in real estate. Right. And the amount of investment that the foundation is putting in there is really minimal compared to the fact almost $3 million will be borrowed through this USDA loan. And furthermore, it's a business investment, so every year from the rent, the foundation is going to make profits that go back directly to assist students through scholarships and other programs. And
that's what happens to the money there. It all goes back, recycled into the system. Mm-hmm. It's not put in your pocket. It's not put in the y'all never get paid enough. I mean, anybody in education, in my opinion, does not get paid enough, all the way from the kindergarten teacher to the college professor.
That is absolutely true. And in fact, faculty and staff at the college have not had a cost of living raise since 2007.
Huh.
In fact, the take-home pay has gone down because the benefits have not increased, but the cost of the benefits have increased. They don't complain to me, because they're all very dedicated, but they know I know what the problem is.
Right.
And that is set at the state.
The enemy is not another educator. The enemy is the people that are taking away the...
Well, the state has had some difficulty in the last few years.
You don't want to go there with me right now.
Funding, and we're hopeful to get a little bit of relief this year, but...
Well, we had Senator Hawley on yesterday, and we had Mike Jones Jr. on last week.
Who's both of them are big supporters.
Big supporters.
Representative Jones is a graduate of LBW. He was president of our Student Government Association.
And they speak highly of it, and that's what I was saying. We have two great assets in the state legislature that can help us out here. We're pressed for time because I know you got to be somewhere here shortly. But I want to talk. Well, let me bring it like this. I have met many nice people in the faculty and staff at LBW. When I go on campus over there, I'm always treated very nicely by your staff. I know there's a maintenance person over there. I don't want to say his name. Just a wonderful gentleman. He's retired now. Always, dedicated to his job, and very, and that's the way the whole staff is there. Now the faculty. I met a young lady over there by the name of Miss Carol.
That's right.
And she is very active in the community, not just in LBW. And she really has some strings to pull, what I mean by that, with the community, because she has no problem getting out there and facing, head on.
Well, her program is one of the best kept secrets, one of the real treasures of LBW, and that's our adult education program.
Absolutely.
Which, just for your viewers that adult education is education for adults who do not have a high school diploma, which is a large percentage. And really, you owe it to yourself and your family to continuously learn. Learning is a lifelong process. You don't stop, once you leave school. If you leave school after grade 12 or after grade 8, you don't stop learning. And at LBW, this is completely free because the state realizes it is an investment in our people. And then you have dedicated individuals like Miss Carol, who's been there for years and helped so many students.
She has. And she's, and I guess I'm being overzealous with her or whatever, but she has really, really proven to me many times over that her heart is really in that program. Yes. And not just in the program, but in the community, because she's done other things as well, as you're aware of in the community. All right, Doc, let me ask you this. I'm getting out of high school this year. I graduate in 2013, and I don't know what I want to do. Okay. Is there any facility that you have at LBW that helps people? Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The most important thing is to come to our campus. Find the admissions office, which is in the Student Center here in Andalusia, and the administration building, and just walk in there, and if you just ask to talk to the counselor. And Ms. Latrice Gully is our new counselor here in Andalusia, and she would be very happy to sit down with you, take time, no rush, talk about what your goals and aspirations, your personal interests are. The main thing is to take a broad scope of classes. You can take your basics at LBW. Many students don't really know what they want to do, but they want to further their education because they know how important it is. Just start anywhere, broaden yourself. I advise students to take classes they wouldn't think they'd be interested in, because you're probably going to learn something like theater, music.
The arts.
Stretch yourself in the sciences. Don't be afraid of science. If so many students had a troubled relationship with math. Well, we take you where you're at. If it's beginning math, reviewing fractions and decimals, no problem. And we have the way to do that. We have very patient faculty to do that. That's one of our innovations, actually, is a new way to do that in a self-paced, module-based system. Non-judgmental. We don't say, "Oh, why didn't you pay attention last year?" No, if wherever you are, and a lot of people are just rusty.
Boy, did I ever hear that.
A lot of people are just rusty and need to go in. But stretch yourself, and you may find something that sparks your interest, and find your way in life. Now, can I make a plug for something that's
Absolutely.
a personal interest of mine?
Oh, yes, we were going to talk about this. But before you do that, I want to say this. And I was dreaming with you there for a moment when you were talking about, I brought in I'm the 2013 graduate coming up, and I'm going through, where can I go to? You said the counselor. Do you know what they told me? The principal. I always got sent to the principal. I can't imagine why, but... but
aren't you glad it wasn't the vice principal?
Oh yeah, there you go. But you have an interest that you and I kind of shared a little bit, because I touched on it when I was stationed in Korea. I touched on some of the martial arts, which was Hapkido and Taekwondo, and you and I got in that conversation, and you just lit up.
Yes.
And
well, I'm a lifelong martial artist. I started my martial arts training when I was about 11, incidentally living in Egypt.
Wow.
And I had the opportunity to study judo, which stayed with me. Eventually, years later, I made it to black belt level, and actually, part of my career, I was a faculty member at the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina. I reactivated the judo club there, went to tournaments, and won some and lost some. It was a great experience. But during my time there, I was introduced 25 years ago this month to one of the great martial artists alive today in the world. His name is Sensei Roy Suinaka, who studied directly under the founder of Aikido. And I studied very intensively 8 years with him, and he's still my teacher. I see him at seminars and workshops. In fact, later this month I'm going down to Charleston to see him practice at a seminar. But right here in Andalusia, I started a class. I've now made it up to 4th degree black belt in Aikido.
Wow.
But since I came here, I started a class. I've been teaching Aikido now for 7 years. We practice every Monday and Wednesday evening. It's a very low cost, but I encourage anyone who has an interest in martial arts at all, regardless of your background or never having done any martial arts or having done karate and wanting to expand. Aikido is a soft style, which means we use your attacker's energy to turn, again, redirect, and it's also a peace-loving martial arts. We're not violent people. The whole idea is to have a peaceful conflict resolution. It usually ends up with your attacker flat on his back on the floor.
Do you give up?
It is a very effective form of self-defense, but it is defensive. We don't do tournaments or competitions in Aikido. You mentioned Hapkido, which is a Korean style, which is related to Aikido. I would say they're cousins. They have a common origin in part, but it is a passion of mine, and I love the interaction with students. You don't have to be an LBW student. It's open to community members. Students can actually take it for college credit as a PE credit.
Really?
But the general public, and it's $90 for a semester.
There you go.
Which
Can't
is
beat that.
3.5 months, 4 months.
Well, Doc, if martial arts tunes the body, okay, and it tunes the mind, and it also gives you a control of concentration. And a lot of us sit there and go, well, what are you talking about, Abe? Well, just watch me in the morning. There's a lack of concentration all over the place. But when you're in that, you learn how to concentrate and focus. And a lot of times in studies, in business, anything that you do in life, concentration is a very important thing. And these kind of things help kind of sharpen that tool.
It is. Oh. It's a great practice.
Well, Doc, we appreciate you coming on. Dr. Riedel from LBW, president of LBW, and we're very honored to have him in our presence today here on WKNI, and we hope to have you back more often talking about what's going on there. Feel free, anytime you got something going on out there, send your faculty over, send Miss Carol over, talk about. Okay. I'd like to talk about that GED program because,
fantastic.
My son was a recipient of a GED, not from LBW, but when he went in the Army. And the change in his life when he got that GED was phenomenal. And you see it now. He's aggressive. He's wanting to learn more education. While he's in Afghanistan, he's been, taking courses.
Well, it opens doors, and sometimes those are doors you might not have realized were actually there. But it opens those, and you can never go wrong furthering your education.
Absolutely, and hey, look, doesn't matter how old you are.
That's
okay?
true.
That's true. Where was it? I saw 100-and-some-year-old lady finally got her GED. After all these years, I remember this, in a news article a while back, and so what is she going to use it for? Well, I'll tell you what, self, gratifying, to know
and
that.
What an example!
Exactly, and so education, folks, we're real big on that here at WKNI. We believe that our youth are our future, and if you put more cherished input into those children as they grow up, they become responsible leaders in our community as well. And that's what you're in charge of over there, and we appreciate that. God bless you, sir.
God bless you.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
All right. Remember, keep it real.
Keep it real.
Keep God in it. Thanks for tuning in, folks. Contact Doc over here at LBW anytime.
Absolutely.
I know you can call him, and he'll give you his card and stay in touch with you. One thing I will say before we go. Carlton, over there, Ron, well, you know it's Ron. He told us about you long ago, about how you address situations. And folks, to hear that and then hear, you talk with him on it after years ago, he addresses it. You got a question, he'll get you the answer. And,
I'll try.
Well, he'll believe me, if he don't get you an answer, there is no answer. How's that?
Well,
Is that fair?
Thank you for your kind words, Eddie. It's been a
that's how
real
I
pleasure.
hear. And
we'll do this again sometime
absolutely.
soon.
And tell your wife hi. We
I
met
will.
her over at the forum the other day,
Yes.
and that was great. God bless y'all. Keep it real. Keep God in it, as we say here. Looking forward to seeing you all here after the commercial break. Well, Teresa and I will be up here doing a closeout.